doing? Welcome to Cosmic Vinyl. I am Cosmic Brian, your host. What'd you think of that intro, eh? Freaking rocks, man. I will explain what album that is. In fact, that album is going to be our headliner, and I'll talk a little bit about that soon enough, my cosmonauts. Welcome aboard, man. This is the midweek video. God, thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for taking time out of your weekday to tune in to Cosmic Vinyl. So on Saturday, was it Saturday? It was either Saturday or the video before I did a Colorful Covers video. It was called Taste the Colors. Anyway, one of the albums I showed inspired me to do this video, which was that Flock of Seagulls LP. After listening to that, I thought, God, you know what? I'm going to dive into my Newwave section, my Newwave bureau of the Cosmic Collection. And so that's what we're going to see today. I pulled 6 Newwave alt-rock stuff from around the 80s, maybe a little late 70s stuff that I think some of them I may have shown. Some of them might be new, and they're all going to be new to you people that haven't dove way into the deep dive of the Cosmic Vinyl archives. There's a lot of videos in there. So yeah, little Newwave action. Hey, you guys want to do a quick big chug? Why not, man? Middle of the week. I mean, hell, we all have to work in the morning, but we're just pounding down a quick one, right? Let's do it. Here's a toast to all you guys out there, all the subscribers, all the commenters, all you rock and rollers, everybody out there who loves good music on vinyl. Let's get it done.
Oh, yes, my good friend, of course.
Oh, tasty. Oh, God, that's cold. Oh, brain freeze! All right, let's start off. We're going to start off with like a little bit more of the commercial stuff, and then we'll move into the more obscure, the more darker, heavier stuff. So this first one, I'm sure you'll recognize right off the bat. Don't laugh, because I like these guys. This is the Thompson twins, man. Into the Gap. Yeah, this is great, man. Released in '84 on Arista Records. Of course, you all know they're kind of a new wave, kind of alt rock, synth pop from the probably about the mid '80s. This was probably their most commercially successful album. You're looking at around the MTV era. They were quite the MTV darlings back then, as they released 4 singles off of this LP. All of them accompanied by a video on MTV that at least 2 of them got heavy rotation on MTV in the early days. But yeah, man, these guys, Thompson twins, take kind of a bad rap, man. And I think it's because of, I think a lot of people think that they were more of an ambitious band than a talented band. And I gotta tell you, man, what difference does that make? I mean, you could say that about, thousands of bands, actually. And hell, you could say that about yours truly here, man. Sometimes I would think I'm neither talented or ambitious. But anyway, I love this, man. You've got singles like Hold Me Now, Doctor Doctor. I dig Tom Bailey, the singer's voice, man. But yeah, they're pretty awesome. I dig it. I mean, these guys made a pretty big impact, for the era that they came up on. Definitely had a big fan base, and definitely were very successful. So you can laugh at them all you want, but they're laughing their way all the way to the bank. So, oh, and check this out, man. I just figured this out when doing this. Okay, so it looks like a map, but I couldn't figure out the red, and then I just realized it's a silhouette of the 3 band members' heads. I didn't even realize that until just last night when I was playing this. That's hilarious. Anyway, Thompson twins, Into the Gap. like I said, we're starting off with the more poppier stuff. Now this album is fantastic, man. This was one of my favorite albums back in high school, man. In fact, I had this album and probably, I think it was their album after this, that I really got into. And that's the Tubes. And this album is called The Completion Backwards Principle. Love the cover there with all the guys in their business suit attire right there. And this is pretty cool too. Check out the inner sleeve. They're all brainstorming, trying to figure out the completion backwards principle, which actually there is a little spoken word introduction at the beginning. It kind of talks a little bit about the completion backwards principle. But yeah, this was released on Capitol Records, 1981. This is their first album on the Capitol label after being dropped by the A&M label. And this was kind of a do or die situation for Fee Waybill and the boys, man, because they signed a 3-record contract with Capitol, but Capitol held the right to drop them from the label if any single one of those albums wasn't a success, which, man, that puts the pressure on, right? So they brought in a producer by the name of David Foster. Now, David Foster was known for being a kind of a my way or the highway kind of a producer. And he wasn't above like sending a band member or two home if they weren't living up to the standards that he expected on the album. And he would bring in some session guys. In fact, he brought in Steve Lukather of Toto, who came in and played on and helped write the smash hit off of this album called Talk to You Later. What a great track, by the way. And that was followed right on the heels of I Don't Want to Wait Anymore, which is a great song. But anyway, I love that song, man. I Don't Want to Wait Anymore, great track. But some of my favorite tracks on this, and probably my big time favorite on this, is Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. A great song about a guy going out on a date and they're parking out by like a 3-mile island kind of scenario. And all of a sudden she becomes this 50-foot woman tearing into the city, wreaking havoc. I mean, that's freaking great, man. What a great track. Mr. Hate is another great track on this. Great album by the Tubes. Now this one is, I'm sure you'll all recognize as well. And that's Kim Wilde, self-titled album there. Check her out. Nice, cute little gal, man, from back in the day. You'd probably know this album from having the hit single, We're the Kids in America. Great song. And this is her debut album, released in '81 on EMI Records. This came out right at the dawn of MTV, and Where the Kids in America got a heavy rotation, that video. So yeah, it served her well. It was a huge hit for her. And of course, her coming on the heels of late 70s Debbie Harry from Blondie. Of course, there were all the comparisons, and there is some similarities there. Blonde hair, kind of sound alike. Both very talented, man. Great singers. But I'm pretty sure Kim Wilde can't hold a candle to old Debbie Harry, man. She's legendary. Now, the backing band for this album, they were a symphonic, progressive punk band called the Enid, and they got paid very, very little for their services on playing on this record. And also they used the Enid's studio and equipment to record. So yeah, kind of a thankless situation for the Enid. And their story is another interesting story as well, maybe for a different video. And the guys on the album here are not the Enid. In fact, one of those guys is Ricky Wilde, who is Kim Wilde's younger brother, and then one of the other guys is one of the tech guys. I don't know. And another's a guitar player, but yeah, not the guys that played on the album. Where have we heard that before? In the old bubblegum hijinks from the 60s and 70s. But yeah, all the songs on this were written by her brother, Ricky Wilde, and her father, Marty Wilde, who is a 50s rock and roll singer. How cool is that shit, right? But yeah, great, MTV staple, great 80s album. I'm sure you all have heard of it. Now here's one you may not have heard of, but an album that I really dig nonetheless, and that's Shriekback, Oil and Gold. Oh my God, I love this record. Look at that creepy cover. I think those are like snakes or, I don't know what they are, but it looks like snakes and feathers or some shit, but crazy creepy. And then look at the back cover. It's like an anglerfish or some weird, it kind of looks like an anglerfish. I don't know what it is, but what a creepy cover. But man, this was released in 1985 on Island Records. They're an English new wave band, alt pop. It's like funk infused new wave alt rock. This album actually features Hans Zimmer, who was like the giant of 80s movie soundtracks back in the day. He plays synth on this. You've got Carl Marsh on vocals. I love his vocals. He sounds great. He sings the first 3 tracks on this, which are fantastic. Also, you've got a former Gang of 4 member and bassist Dave Allen. He's one of them slapping the bass kind of players, man, like kind of Fleet-esque. And man, I tell you what, it sounds incredible on this record. And then you've got Barry Andrews, who is with XTC, who plays synth and keyboards on this record. A fine player in his own right. But yeah, upbeat, funky, fun jams. But it also can get a little dark here. There's like 3 songs that get dark and moody. One's called The Big Hush. The other one is called Coelho Canth. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And then you've got The Only Thing That Shines. I love this album, man. This is fantastic, man. I almost use this as the headline record, man. I found myself digging this, dancing all over the cosmic realm like a friggin' maniac. Having fun, listen to a little Shriekback. Shriekback! Jolly good British new wave there. Now this is a band you may recognize. You might not recognize the album though, because this is some of their early stuff, and that's the Human League. This one's called Travelogue. Crazy cover, not sure what it has to do with the album itself. It looks like sled dogs or some shit. But there's a picture of what the early Human League looked like. You don't have the 2 young gals that were with them on the albums after this. But this one was released in 1980 on Virgin Records. Fantastic record, man. It's their second album. The early stuff for Human League is far cooler and far more interesting than their poppy stuff in my book. This stuff is it's so futuristic, way ahead of its time. I mean, these guys are pumping synth through massive distortion. It just sounds amazing, man. Futuristic, kind of cold at times. The opening track is just so creepy and kind of dark. It's called The Black Hit of Space. And then right on its heels is a Mick Ronson cover called Only After Dark. Like I said, speaking of dark, this thing can get a little on the dark side, man. Very moody, very trippy. That's why I like new wave. I like new wave for the same reason I like psychedelic music, as it's experimental and it can just go any direction, man. Always either dark or goth or whatever, man. That's why I love new wave. And I mean, obviously the 2 genres are completely on the far reaches of the spectrum, but still, that's kind of the same reason I dig new wave music, man. After Ian Craig Marsh and Martin Ware would leave the band, that would leave Phil Oakley and Adrian Wright, who would recruit these two teenage backup singers, one by the name of Joanne Catherall, and then you've got Susan Ann Sully, who would be the female singers for the band when they headed in a more poppy direction. And you would also add former Rosillo's guitar player, Joe Callis. Of course, then they moved into a way more poppy, pop synth, kind of pop synth wave, or whatever you want to call it, direction, and then they blew up. But I got to tell you, the first album called Reproduction and Travelogue, this one, far more interesting, far more cool to listen to. And now, the headliner, the album we were listening to at the beginning of the video. This is Belfegore. This is a killer record. First time I ever laid eyes on this record was Steve Carlson did this amazing series where he showed Left of the Dial, like college radio type stuff. And he showed this album, and I thought, God, that cover looks interesting as hell. And the way he described it sounded awesome. If you haven't checked out those videos, go do a deep dive into Steve Carlson's catalog and see if you can find that Left of the Dial series. Fantastic. But this is released in 1984 on Elektra Records. It's like German Gothic New Wave. Kind of like a combination of like Killing Joke and Billy Idol. I mean, I don't know. I get that. It almost has like a metallic sound to it. Kind of even on the industrial side, but not that quite that heavy. But it is definitely metallic and cold, and it gets heavy, man. Somewhat menacing at times, man. The hard rock and guitars, man, they get going. Sounds like a friggin' chainsaw. Man, just kicks ass. Dark, gothic, haunting, and atmospheric. If you like Lords of the New Church, maybe like Christian Death, or maybe even that that first Ministry album, I think you'll dig Belfegore, man. And I just love that cover, man. Check out these friggin' leather-clad, badass machismo kind of guys here. Even the back of the album looks dark and sinister. But yeah, I love this, man. Friggin' awesome. That's why it makes the headliner of the video. All right, that's my first new wave video. God, I haven't done one of those in such a long time. Thanks you guys for checking in for the middle of the week video, man. I love you guys, man. Keep tuning in. Here's one parting toast to you. Man, if it's your first time here, hit the subscribe button, man. Join our quest. Join the ambitious and less talented Cosmic Brian as we show great music on vinyl. Also, man, hit the bell, the notification bell, so that you know when we throw a video up on YouTube, man. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss a Cosmic Vinyl video. And then you also hit that, if you like the video, why not hit that thumbs up, man? Woo-hoo-hoo! I love that video. Pa-poing! Hit it 2 or 3 times. No, don't do that, because then it cancels it out. But anyway, stay cool, stay cosmic. It's only rock and roll, and we love it, man. And we'll catch you this weekend. Peace.